Welcome to the OG55 holiday special live. In this live show, we are going to talk about the holidays in Disney parks. We're going to talk about Neil Patrick Harris's joke at the Epcot candlelight processional. We're going to talk about some decor missing maybe over at Disneyland Resort. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. It's all holiday related. Buckle up on OG55 Live Holiday Edition. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live. This is the holiday special. We're talking all about Christmas, the holidays all around these parks that we love dearly. But before we dive into the festivities, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. My brother, my producer, the doctor, Dr. Dre, the DA, host of Freshly Squeezed here on the channel. Dre, welcome back, brother.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool to do a live show again with you fellas. So, thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to get started. But before we do, I'll dispense with the pleasantries real fast. If you want to go ahead and follow me, you can go do so right down there at VashSky. Go ahead and type it in. Should pop up just fine for, as Christine Wastelands McCarthy would say, for all the robust discussion right there, right? And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55, where you can find shows like Orange Nerd, Citrus Corner, and my own. It's Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. You know, I really should have had some type of holiday-inspired sound pad here, but I'll say la vie. I guess it'll have to be for next year. But thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And down below, we got Mr. DF23, the Disney Family Man 23, host of the Walt Disney World show here on the channel, Citrus Corner. George, I'm loving the Mickey Santa hat. Welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be back. I had to get a little bit into the Christmas cheer and get a little festive and blend two things that I enjoy most, Christmas and Disney. So why not have a Santa hat with Mickey ears? Why not?
Exactly.
But if you want to find me on YouTube, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23. You can interact with me on Twitter at Disney George. You can find me on the new podcast, A Walk with Walt. And of course, you'll find me here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go.
Very much.
There we go. Thank you very much. Here we go. Let's get the party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to all who come to this happy place, welcome to Orange Grove 55.
And we can't have a live show without Mr. Bill O'Reilly.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
There we go.
Just the thing to get me into the holiday spirit. Thank you very much, OG. That was fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Merry Christmas, everybody.
It's kind of like a Die Hard Christmas more than it is It's a Wonderful Life Christmas, right?
Exactly. We have a lot of people in the chat already. We got Royal Legends, Matthew Murr, the Rogue Attraction. Going to be a fantastic show. Before we get started, though, with all the festivities, I wanted to kind of, and George, actually, this was your idea. You wanted to bring up the 70th anniversary of Walt Disney Imagineering, kind of before we get started with all the Christmas and holiday festivities. I'll go ahead and let you kick us off, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't believe it's been 70 years. I just remember them mentioning the 65th anniversary when I got my D23 magazine that said the 65 years of Walt Disney Imagineering. And I just think it's surreal that 70 years of a small little portion of what Walt had created, from taking his Imagineers, his top elite animators from the studio, and moving them into a position that they never even thought that they were capable of doing, of creating theme park attractions, which was WED Enterprises for Walt's initials, which essentially became Walt Disney Imagineering, thanks to Mr. Michael Eisner there. So another one to top off for Mr. Eisner. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that is kind of missed in the Disney community, because everyone's talking about, a lot of the dramas lately and everything. And I think it's nice to kind of talk about something positive, that even though, the Walt Disney Company is going through some shambles right now, but, in the lighter side and the positive side, to talk about 70 years of Walt Disney Imagineering that's been bringing all the attractions, all the rides, all the joy to the park. And I think it should be showcased.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. We all wouldn't be here, really, probably, if it wasn't for Imagineering. We shared this common passion together of these amazing places, these amazing theme parks, and that was all birthed from Imagineering. And like you said, George, it was really interesting how Walt had a knack for pulling stuff out, pulling greatness out of people that they didn't even know they had. Right? These guys, these gentlemen like Mark Davis, right? None of these guys knew that they could do this stuff. They were unsure. This is kind of a new thing that they were kind of venturing into. And with Walt as kind of their captain guiding the ship, they not only did they do it, they hit like home run after home run. It was pretty incredible. But Dre, what are your thoughts on 70 years of Imagineering?
70 years. I mean, it's a pretty remarkable achievement, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people, you have to understand that the people who joined up with Wood Enterprises at that time, I mean, they were working on a project that a lot of people thought was going to be Walt's Folly, right? So who knows if these people even thought that they were going to have a job post the opening of Disneyland, and yet here we are. And to dream up so many amazing ideas for all that time, the amount of just unbelievable people that have actually, gone through the halls of Imagineering: Mark Davis, Claude Coates, Tony Baxter, Eddie Soto, John Hench, Alice Davis, Mary Blair. I mean, the list just keeps going on and going on. And I understand that there's it's been a tumultuous couple of years recently, and there have been ups and downs as well, as we've learned, and kind of the Imagineering story and so forth. Going through all that, it's been rocky, but they've had some incredible highs as well, and hopefully that will continue long into the future. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I echo your sentiment, Dre. I'm wishing Imagineering a very successful next 70 years, and
fly me to the moon.
To the moon, baby. All the success. Happy 70th birthday, Imagineering. We love you. We absolutely love you.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. 100%. So let's dive into our first topic today, which is Neil Patrick Harris over at Epcot. Okay, this was very, very interesting. I got a little I don't want to say I got canceled over this or anything, but I got a lot of pushback on this one.
Really? Well,
let's go ahead and pull up the video, and we will play it and then kind of discuss it from there.
Yeah, this comes to us. What is it? From Scott Gooston via Deanna Barry. Looks like who cut the video originally. Well, I'll let the video play for itself. I guess this happened at a recent candlelight processional over there in Epcot, and that evening's host, Neil Patrick Harris, had a couple of things to say. So let's hear what he had to say.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to tonight's performance of the Candlelight Processional here at Epcot. Epcot. An acronym. And I'm pretty sure the C doesn't stand for Chapek.
Okay, so strong words there. What do you guys initial thoughts about that?
Okay, here's the thing. Here's kind of where I stand on this, right? Like, I don't really care so much about the joke itself. In and of itself, the joke, hey, it's pretty funny, right? But there's a time and place for things. And like with you fellas, right? We can shoot the shit and joke around about a lot of stuff, but I'm not necessarily gonna maybe say those same kind of jokes in church, and that's kind of where I feel how I feel about this, right? Like I like Neil Patrick Harris, and the joke wasn't necessarily like unfunny or anything like that. It just wasn't the right place for this. And from what I understand, it was before the ceremony officially began. So that's good, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think it's a good look for Neil, unfortunately, because I do like him. But I just feel like this was something that, I don't know. The guy, look, Chapek is no longer involved with the Walt Disney Company. Why you got to kick the guy when he's down? Just leave him alone. He has no bearing, no effect on Disney anymore at all. Who cares, right? I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it. What do you think, Dre?
Look, it's time and a place, right? There are venues for which, these probably would have been universally, these comments would have been universally well received, right? He could have gone, I believe you mentioned it before, also to me privately when we were talking about this initially. He could have mentioned it on a podcast, could have mentioned it on some kind
like
of
The View or like Good Morning America or some sort of interview setting, right?
Yeah, he could have said these comments at a bunch of different venues, at a bunch of different events, and a bunch of different contexts. But including them here for the candlelight processional, when I think we just had this conversation with, I believe it was Lorena Creel on her YouTube channel, which, by the way, you guys should visit and check out after this video, of course, for sure. That this is kind of it's a sacred ceremony, right? This is something that people hold in quite high esteem. It's definitely religious in connotation and so forth. So the fact that he would actually say this here, it's not the best look as far as I'm concerned. Matthew Murr brings up an interesting point too. This is done on Disney's property. You're invited guests to kind of disparage a previous CEO for the company. It's all kind of, it's not a good look. It's a little tacky, right? It's a little tacky. It's not, maybe it wasn't the best venue and the best situation to actually air this grievance out, let's say. But George, how do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I think the joke itself wasn't tasteless. It was the environment of how he used that joke. He got a whole group of people in one place and thought, all eyes are on me, the spotlight's on me. I'm going to say this right before we get on with the candlelight processional, for which I do agree with you, Dre, due to the fact of what the candlelight processional represents. And during the time of the year, it wasn't the best way to kind of start it off and then, okay, let's talk about something that's religious and something that's sacred, and then start it off by kicking the guy in the balls. It's like it was tasteless. It wasn't done correctly. Me, I'm up for a good joke, but there's a time and a place for everything, and that was not the time. Also, too, when people are going to, and this is what I'm starting to see Disney doing in general, because if this was something that was said about Iger, Neil Patrick Harris would have got his ass chewed out by Disney. So Disney is allowing it to happen. And me personally, when you have guests that are coming into your parks that are paying a premium price, they're paying an extra price on top of that to see the candlelight processional, they don't want to hear a Comedy Central roast. They're there for a specific reason of what they purchased that ticket for. And they don't want to constantly keep on involving Disney's politics and policies and everything incorporated into the parks. When you're there at the parks, you want to be there to have fun. You want to escape. So you constantly don't want to have to keep on hearing about this with Chapek and him getting ousted of the company while you're in the park, supposedly having fun. And Disney is tolerating that. And it's not really a good image on them to allow this to happen. As far as Neil Patrick Harris, I do like the guy. It was just not a good decision on his part. And me personally, I kind of feel that it was staged, not just by him, but I think even like Disney allowing him
that's interesting.
to kind of say this, because I don't think he would jeopardize his reputation by just making that comment if Disney didn't allow him to do so.
Yeah. Well, anti-Chapek jokes, pretty safe though.
But I'm curious though, because the camera cut off right after he said Chapek, and
what was the
I'm
reaction?
curious that what
True.
was the reaction? Did people laugh? Were there crickets? Because a lot of people that go to the parks may not even know who Chapek is, unless you're a diehard Disney fan like us, the joke may not even matter.
And I'm not a religious person. I don't really associate myself with really any religion. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic high school, all that stuff, but I'm not a practicing Catholic. I have not been to church in years, like years and years. I don't really associate with any religion, and I'm not a Christian, and but I feel like there's a certain amount of respect that you have to have with this stuff, right?
Sure.
Like if I were to go to a ceremony for a religion that I'm not a part of, I'm still going to be respectful while I'm there.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not necessarily a part of that religion, you still have to show your respect, Yeah. And I just feel like this was a little bit disrespectful. And look, to be fair to Mr. Harris, I understand this was like before like the official ceremony began. But still, I just think it was the wrong venue for this. There's a million other places he could have done this joke. This wasn't it. I'm sorry. And I like the guy like you, George. I think, hey, look, the guy loves Disney, right? I mean, how bad could he be, right? I really, really like Neil, but I just feel like with this joke, it was just tacky.
It's tacky, and Matthew Mirrors, I think, is correct. It's rather petty of Neil to do this. I kind of agree, but Doc Hart makes a good point. Hollywood loves Hollywood. This is definitely some Hollywood drama. It's definitely got that connotation for sure. It's look, I wouldn't have endorsed it. That's for sure. And I guess some people were bringing up on Twitter that he's made comments kind of that are maybe not appropriate for this venue before at previous the previous times he's hosted this. And Patrick Harris, he knows better. He's a huge fan of the parks. He understands what this ceremony is all about. He's done he's hosted this more than once. Not the best look, but hey, OG super chat just came in here from Paul. From Paul for that $2. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Appreciate that. OG, you want to give a crack at the last name?
Paul Jurgelwicks. Paul, I hope I got it right. If not, please correct me in the chat. But Paul, thank you so much for your donation. He says, "Happy holidays, gentlemen." Happy holidays to you, Paul. Whatever you celebrate, I hope you have a fantastic holiday season with friends and family, Paul. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah,
sir.
we really do appreciate it. And just so you know, if we did mess up your last name, please send the email to Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. Real fast, OG. I saw Casual in the chat. He's going to be driving on the road soon, so he'll be listening in. Hey, drive safe, buddy. Seriously.
Yes.
Those Southern California streets can be a little rough. Go ahead, OG. What were you going to say?
This is a great comment from Doc. I mean, 3 words just totally nails it. Hollywood loves Hollywood, and it's like Hollywood loves to like smell their own farts, kind of, right? A little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I mean, they're so into themselves and they think that all this stuff reverberates out. And again, if Neil Patrick Harris said this at Disneyland, maybe it plays differently, but it's Epcot, it plays a lot differently there. I like your assessment though, George, that this might've been kind of put in there on purpose, That's an interesting take. One I hadn't considered before, but with so many different things happening in C-Suite, I wouldn't put it past them for sure.
It's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. The C-Suite drama at Disney with the McCarthy stuff. We did a video on the other day, Dre. My God, that Wall Street Journal article was a banger, an absolute banger. So, George, I mean, honestly, like your theory, I mean, weirder stuff has been going on, so it's possible, absolutely.
Oh, it is absolutely possible. By the way, I guess this is an appropriate time to bring this up. Oh yes, OG rocking the casual attire right there.
Here we go.
Casual astutely points out. For a casual, fantastic.
We love
shirt
casual
for sure. It's one of my favorites in my collection, absolutely. But I think this is about appropriate the time to bring up right here before we get to our next topic. You know, we were talking about that Wall Street Journal article and going into, what was happening in C-suite, right? This Disney coup and what was going on behind the scenes and so forth. We had definitely opinions about it. If you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check that out after you're done with this one. But there was one thing that we forgot, OG, and this will also give George a time to chime in what he thought about the article as well. But we forgot to mention that there were some parallels that were kind of putting together. Like, ooh, you know what? This, because I was thinking, man, this has been a time full of drama for the senior management positions at the Walt Disney Company. One of the most dramatic times that I can ever remember. But you astutely brought up that this definitely had some parallels to a time. Well, not so long ago. OG, you want to go ahead and give some clarity on this?
Yeah. Back in the day, I think it was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, Disney brought on Michael Ovitz, right? And then he got let go, right? He didn't last very long. But I was talking to Dre on the phone, and I was kind of searching like for some old school articles in regards to this Ovitz thing, because I remember there being a lot of kind of disparaging articles out there about Mr. Ovitz when he got let go, right? There was one story in particular that really stuck in my mind, how like he didn't fit the Disney culture. I guess a lot of these Disney executives were taking a bus to an event or what have you, but Ovitz decided to take a limo, right? Eisner didn't like that. He felt it was kind of elitist, but the overall messaging in these articles was very similar to what we're seeing right now with Bob Chapek, where we brought him on. We wanted it to work out. It didn't work out. He doesn't understand Disney. He doesn't understand the culture and yada, yada, yada. It's the same exact sort of kind of tone and rhetoric, really, quite honestly. And it was very interesting, the parallels there between how they're treating Chapes and how they treated Michael Ovitz. And I think, unfortunately for Bob Chapek, look, I hope Chapek, I hope he lands on his feet and he finds a gig somewhere else. But he got dragged through the mud in this, just like Ovitz did. And you haven't really heard much about Michael Ovitz, have you, since then? So
well, he did make some comments after the fact that pretty much, he'll never work in Hollywood again. Let's just be honest. And folks, you can look those up and see what he had to say.
Check him out.
It's something for sure. But when you were actually bringing it up, I was like, man, there's some definite parallels to that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Iger took a couple of notes down, with the dealings that Michael Eisner had, his dear old boss at the time, and maybe, I don't know, mirrored some of those actions and some of those comments and how that situation was conducted internally inside Disney, and mirrored that for how he would eventually handle what happened with Chapek. It's some fascinating stuff. Yeah. There's definitely some cross-pollination there. There's definitely some connections there that I hadn't previously made. I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Iger was maybe researching what happened there and decided to incorporate that into some of the strategies that he employed against Chapek himself. As far as Chapek goes, I don't feel too bad for him. Obviously, he has a pretty nice golden parachute package, but he has been disparaged quite a bit. He'll never work in Hollywood again, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. And Doc Hart kind of mentions that. He says, bro, he never has to work again. Right. I can budget $56 million. Yeah, and Doc is absolutely right. In terms of financially, he'll be fine. But these guys, these executives, these really kind of like hungry executives, like these, like a Chapek or a Bob Iger, sometimes it's not even about the money, though. Like, Iger's not coming back to Disney for the money. He's coming back for legacy, image, just and a lot. Sometimes that means more to these guys, to be quite honest. And I don't know. I mean, Chapek financially will be fine. Absolutely. He's not living on the dollar menu at McDonald's. That's for sure. Or Top Ramen. But man, a bruised ego sometimes to some of these fellas and gals is even worse than being broke.
Well, hey, you never know. He might become the new CEO for Totten Brahmin. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Now, Doc, you say you can budget $56 million, but I don't know. I don't know if you live in Southern California or not. Southern California, $56 million, it doesn't go quite as far as you would think. No, I'm joking. I mean, that's a lot of money. I'm sure he'll make adjustments to live out his golden years with that package. That's for sure. But, like you said, OG, I mean, these people, people like Chapek, they're definitely ambitious. They're definitely, They definitely have an ego, a drive. Right. They're image conscious in their own way. Pride, as Doc mentions right there in the chat. There's definitely that kind of stuff going on, and it's. They definitely threw him under the bus for a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
And you could see the correlation between history repeating itself with Chapek. And to be quite honest, now when I say this comment, I will back that up with my statement that I never really was a fan of Chapek. I never really liked him. Now, when I say I don't like him, it's not that I'm saying I don't like him as a person. I don't know him personally as a person. He could be a great guy. As a person who was part of the Walt Disney Company, I felt that he wasn't the perfect fit, even back when he was chairman of the parks. Right. Now, with him becoming CEO, which he didn't really ask for, he just kind of got thrown into it and then dragged along up until released. And to me, that was like somewhat torture. So I wouldn't put that on anybody, whether you felt that, you like them personally or not. But I do feel like it really wasn't too big of a surprise when he got let go after that so long, because in my personal opinion, if I was a business person, I would have let Chapes go back when he was chairman of the parks. Right. Because I've been saying that since the beginning, that when he would get up and do his motivational speaking or presenting something or making announcements, he didn't have that enthusiasm as a parks chairman to really know the brand that he was running.
No, 100%. Yeah, Chapek is actually a pretty brilliant businessman, but Disney's a different animal, right? Like if Chapek went over to like some insurance company or something, he'd be fantastic. He would totally crush. For Disney though, it's a different beast, and I just think he just wasn't cut out for it. Slimer says here, social studies have shown most Fortune 500 CEOs exhibit sociopathic behavior. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, Slimer.
That's interesting.
That doesn't shock me. Yeah. I don't know.
We have seen some pretty insane behavior from some of these people in C-suite just within Disney. I mean, look at Christine Wastelands McCarthy. I mean, she is she's cold. She is something else. Very, very ambitious. And look, listen, there has to. I would think that there has to be a certain. Oh, I don't know. There's definitely a certain mindset when it comes to people of that prestige and position. Wouldn't necessarily surprise me for sure.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that holiday joke. You said she's cold. You keeping it in the Christmas theme.
There you go.
I like that. Should we pivot to our next topic now?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
We shall.
Let's rock and roll. Let's go ahead. I'm going to share your screen, brother. And
yes.
All right. Now, this is courtesy of Mice Chat, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. This is Mice Chat's weekly update here. I wanted to kind of go through a couple of things that I found that were very interesting and that could provide, a little bit of a conversation, discussion, and so forth. Because, it is. We do have a Christmas show, so some of these topics go right in there. But more than that, there's some changing things behind the scenes that could affect these things as well. So, like I said, good discussion. Anyway, embedded within Mice Chat's update released earlier this week They're going over, obviously, Disneyland and what they were themselves experiencing, and maybe providing some commentary on a few things. And one of those was Christmas cutbacks. It says here, does Christmas feel a little lackluster this year at Disneyland? You aren't alone in feeling that way. Many folks have noticed that just about everything feels a little nipped, with budgets cut here and there. There are hardly any lights in the trees, decorations have been scaled back in many areas, there are fewer food and beverage options, there are fewer holiday performers. And this comes after years of cutbacks, so the cumulative effect is really starting to be felt. Especially since Disney's closest competitor, Knott's Berry Farm, has delivered a massive and very sincere holiday season with lots of lights, a tremendous amount of big holiday entertainment, nearly the entire park decorated, a holiday craft festival, and some really satisfying holiday food offerings with portions that dwarf Disney's. I'm sure Christine Waysons McCarthy had something to do with that. That's for sure. But they show here no lights in the trees around the hub this year, or just around anywhere else in the resort. I didn't even know that. There are sections of New Orleans Square that are underwhelming this year. The volume of decorations and lights here have decreased about half from their heyday. It says here trees were once lit that now feel lifeless. Even with these decorations hanging from them without lights, the decorations just blend in. And it kind of goes on from there. You know, we were actually talking about this kind of disparity, let's say, or this kind of juxtaposition between, you know, Disneyland's Christmas time and Knott's Berry Farm's Christmas time when we were on Lorena Creel's amazing show. I believe it was a live show at that time.
Yeah,
we had Theme Park Casual on, who, as we know, frequents Knott's Berry Farm quite a bit, and he was going on and on about some of the amazing things that they included in their holiday packages this year. And if it's anything like what I experienced last year, I mean, it is, let's say, George, balls to the walls, right? You know, let's see right here. There you go. Right? He's wearing the shirt as well. So it was, there we go. Right there. Boom.
Hold on one sec. Let me get it so you can go ahead, George, one more time. Balls to the wall. Right there. Citrus
right
corner.
There. Well, branded. This is fantastic. But look, I mean, it is kind of an interesting thing to note here that maybe Christmas at Disneyland this year, maybe, you know, it was a little bit lackluster, a little bit more than we had, you know, maybe initially stated back when we were on Lorena's show. Yeah,
no, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. And a lot of this stuff is probably, I think a lot of this stuff is probably Chapek cuts that are like, it's too late in the game now to kind of like reverse that. There was an interesting thing, a comment actually on a Fresh Baked video. If you can go ahead and share that, Dre, because I think it actually does tie into this. And scroll down a little bit. It's
yes. So this is Fresh Bake's new updates on Chapek versus Iger video. It was worse than we thought. From what I understand, he had some interesting commentary in this video, but one of his subscribers or commenters relays this comment with us. Quote, as a Disneyland cast member, Iger visited my location for a long while with Diamaro. I noticed about a week later, all of the backstage maintenance and safety improved amazingly after not being the best for months on end. I have faith that if the little things old management put off is getting taken care of, it'll trickle to larger issues. And that was Jessica Gallardo.
And I just want to give credit to actually Mr. Theme Park Wizard, who was in the chat. He actually brought this to our attention. He sent this to us via text. But I think that the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think a lot of this Christmas stuff being cut is Chapek era or Chapek regime cuts.
Yes.
And he left November 20th, I think it was. So a lot of that's really hard to reverse. It's already in motion pretty much. But we're seeing from that cast member, Jessica, that like, you know, when Iger came in with Tomorrow, she started to see a lot of this stuff get taken care of. So I do think Iger is a little more, and we talked about it a little bit, Dre, pre-show, a little bit more into like the balance of like taking care of the parks and, taking care of streaming. It's not so lopsided, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a little more balance. I think next Christmas, I think we'll see a lot more come back. I just think that we're in a weird kind of transitionary period right now where we're kind of seeing remnants of the Chapek regime and the new regime or the old regime that's new again, kind of taking over again. So it's kind of a weird spot to be in. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here with these decorations, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and with Mice Chat's accompanying video from Dusty with his kind of live show that he does and connects with these updates, he was very, he didn't pull any punches. He definitely attributed a lot of the cuts to Chapek directly. I mean, look, Josh Giamaro runs this division. If they want to make cuts, well, again, it has to go through Giamaro himself and then kind of get, so there's definitely something there. But more broadly, I think you're right, OG. I think Iger kind of understands that you have to be a little bit more balanced in this. You can't just take all of the CapEx that the company would normally spend on these other divisions and just funnel that towards DTC. You really had to be a little bit more balanced in your approach because you do get stuff like this.
But do you think that's why Giamaro actually, if it was true, kind of threatened to quit his position as chairman of the parks because of things that maybe he wanted to have something done, but it just wasn't getting through that funnel?
Well,
because
there's an interesting distinction there, George, which we brought up in our show, that there were some headlines that went out there that suggested that Josh Giamaro was threatening to quit.
Right.
You read into the source article, which was the Wall Street Journal article. The Wall Street Journal only said that there was a fear among some within Disney that he might quit.
Right. He wasn't directly threatening.
He wasn't right. Okay.
Right. People in the company thought they were getting that kind of that perception based on, I guess, the tension between these two men. I guess
so that's what I'm saying. So if it was true, do you think that this could actually be part of it? Because now that Iger is back, that things are starting to move, as that cast member had mentioned. And I do agree with you, OG. I think we probably won't know for sure until the next holiday season, because this is kind of like in a limbo kind of state right now between ending one CEO and moving back to another.
Right. Yeah. We'll know more next. I think next Christmas season, holiday season, I think will be much more robust. I really do.
And the reason I emphasize that point, George, that kind of distinction is because apparently, I guess we were corrected on that assessment
via DM.
Via DM by people that the chat knows. Okay, by people that are like.
I don't want to say their name just because they didn't want to say it publicly, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was important that we recognize that distinction, let's just say, from this source. That's all I'm saying. That's why I reemphasized it here, because it is worth emphasizing. Some of the outlets that were running with the story,
they were saying it was coming directly from Giamaro, but it wasn't.
Right. And which changes the perception there. So,
totally.
To answer your question, I mean, look, if it is true that Josh Giamaro and Chapek were button heads, which I don't know, it's not really necessarily what I took from it. But if that is true, then yeah, I mean, I guess it would make sense that he would threaten to leave or whatever. But I don't think it's as clean cut as that. I think there's a little bit more nuance that unfortunately we're just not privy to. Theme park, Wizard, we're getting there. I know we're getting Stick. I know we're getting there. We're getting there. Don't worry. Theme park casual. Iger knows appearances matter. It's not even just about appearances. I think Iger recognizes that the parks are a unique conduit to the fandom, right? They're a unique conduit to the guests that Disney wants, right? The people that spend the money, that people that book these vacation packages. They really do mean a lot to the bottom line, and I think if the parks are doing well, and people are satisfied with the parks experience, that reverberates throughout the company, or throughout the the consumers that Disney really wants and cares about, revenue from. When people are, complaining about the parks division all the time, that does get out there, and that changes people's perception, I think, of the entire company. So, it's priorities, it's this balance. I think Iger understands that well. But I wanted to go ahead and just mention a couple things here. Don't get us wrong, Disneyland is magical this time of year, but with only Main Street going all out for Christmas, New Orleans Square cut back significantly, and the rest of the park largely under-decorated, it doesn't feel like Christmas in the park. These days a bit better with the whimsical Cars Line decor and Festival of the Holidays, but overall the holidays feel a little bit lacking, especially since a one-day park ticket is currently at the top end of the $179 per day, at $60 if you want to make it a park hopper through January 8th. Why so high? We have a feeling that many guests are going to leave disappointed by the difficulty of the new park experience and the diminished holiday vibe. We hope that the pinched Chapek budgets, which have obviously impacted the park experience, are restored quickly. If things stay the way they are now, we fear that word of mouth is going to start hurting Disneyland's reputation and eventually the financial performance of the parks. And I can't disagree with that assessment for sure. Hopefully, was it the commenter on FreshBake's video, this Jessica Gallardo, is correct that these things are starting to be addressed. But we'll have to wait and see. We do have evidence that some things are being addressed. Okay, we'll go with the snake then. Let me just go ahead and find it here. A lot of refurbishments for sure.
Why has it got to be snakes?
Yeah, why has it got to be snakes, right? We have a whole host of refurbishments, which is actually interacting quite interestingly with the openings of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, right? For in the month of January, with the kickoff of the 100th celebration of the company, which we will get into. But well, we got to talk about it. Embedded in this My Chat video, update as well. Well, they were able to get some backstage shots from the monorail as it glides on past Indiana Jones Adventure. And wouldn't you know it, right there, boom, there is a snake backstage, actively being worked on, by the way. You can see the maintenance technicians right there underneath it, which tells you the scale of this thing. Holy smokes!
I do want to make a hold on one sec. We got the hype train going behind George.
Hype train's going in.
I do want to make a distinction for our buddy Hedge. This is when we say snake, we are not referring to Brian Roberts. That's a different snake.
That's good reference right there. Good, yeah, it's a good reference. I think our buddy Captain John D, when he's referring to snake, I think he's referring to some people. Iger, Miss McCarthy, not any of those people. This is just the snake in Indy. We had to clarify this, but yeah, I mean, you could see the crate that it may have come in, being set up outside. It does look like Indy's refurbishment will address some long-standing things that we were bringing out on this show. In fact, I have not seen an end date for Indy's refurbishment, right. Whereas for Radiator Springs Racers, for example, it's only getting about 5 days worth of refurb. So quite the juxtaposition.
You know what I love about the snake? I got to be completely honest. Look at the color scheme on this.
It actually looks like a snake.
Yes, it's not. The other one looks so cartoony. And look, it might be different. Yeah, look at that thing. What is that? Maybe this thing will look different under the black light too. I don't know, but already sitting out there like that looks better already. A lot better, actually. It looks more realistic.
I do agree. And hey, look, if they're going to move in an audio animatronic snake like this, it does bring some hope for maybe some other changes, maybe getting that Boulder effect working a little bit more consistently, maybe adding some new effects. Hey, anything could happen. But in the context of these kind of refurbishments, I wanted to go ahead and bring up some interesting things. One, Radiator Springs Racers obviously being down for only 5 days. Not so great. I would have liked to have seen it stay on a little bit longer, but apparently my shop was speculating that Small World's refurbishment, where it was placed and so forth, and how long it was going to be down for, they were speculating that maybe there might be improvements there. Also, too, I guess Haunted Mansion Holiday, which usually goes down in very, very early January, in order to take down the overlay, right, and to convert it back into Haunted Mansion. I guess that's not happening until January 30th of this year. So the regular Haunted Mansion won't be coming back until like mid-February or early February. That's quite surprising.
Yeah, that's quite a difference between usually the normal time when it goes down and then comes back up.
Right. And I guess it's all being positioned in order to kind of make that area of the park next to Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, as lively as it possibly can be, as all the guests are going to be back there. That's why they're kind of front loading Small World in the way they are. They want that up by a certain time in order so that that area of the park has as many attractions to absorb as many people as possible. It's just quite interesting and fascinating as I was going through it.
I think real quick, I just wanted to just mention, I think that they're going to give more love to Indy first before racers just in general, to kind of put everybody on that, because I think they kind of want this pristine and fixed up, ramped up for the Indy 5 movie. So kind of have it as like a headliner for next summer. So I think a lot of the improvements and the stuff that they need to fix on this attraction, it's so intricate that they'd rather just tackle one major overhaul at a time, and I think they're sticking with Indy first for the purpose for the movie to come out.
I think there is definitely kind of a movie tie-in there. Whether or not they'll actually add some things that are movie centric, I'm not so convinced that that's going to actually happen. But you're right, George. I mean, they want it in tip-top shape for when the movie actually premieres. What is it, June
30th?
June 30th?
Yeah, I believe it's June 30th.
Wow. Interesting.
So it's
coming up. Yeah, I think you're right. They're going to want that in tip-top shape. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, if they do add anything regarding the movie, it's very subtle. I think, Dre, you mentioned maybe adding like an artifact from the new movie kind of in one of the chambers or something. That would be kind of cool, right? But I don't want to see... Yeah, I don't want to see them do what they did with Pirates, like when they insert like Jack Sparrow. I don't want to see like a Phoebe Waller-Bridge animatronic. Come on. No thanks. I'm good on that.
I will admit that they likely won't. All right, they have better CapEx to spend elsewhere for sure. Theme Park Wizard, throwing in the $5 super chat.
Yes.
Daily donation. Happy holidays. Thank you so much, Wizard. That is absolutely awesome. You've been a great supporter for sure.
Yes.
George, I think you're going to have an appearance on Wizard coming up here, right?
I am. Yes, we are going to be doing a recording tomorrow. So definitely check that out. I'm not sure when he's going to have that up on his channel, but the recording itself is going to be tomorrow.
And we got some our good friend Showcase of Wishes in the chat. Merry Christmas, OG. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Showcase. We love you, Showcase. We absolutely love you. Showcase is a friend of the channel. Michael Ebba, Merry Christmas. OG Vash and George, Merry Christmas to you as well, Michael.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Oh, Wizard's saying it's going to be a live show at 4:30 p.m.
PST. We're going live. Fancy.
And look, I'm moving some stuff around. I might be able to join you, but definitely tune into that, folks. George and Theme Park Wizard, always a fun time for sure. Now, you were going to bring up Showcase, OG?
Yes, I was going to bring up Showcase's comment here because it's actually kind of it actually ties into our next topic a little bit, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is mentioning Christmas in the parks. And look, it kind of started under Michael Eisner. I know a lot of people kind of say, the woke stuff started under Bob Iger, and look, it was definitely, amplified under Bob Iger, but some of the stuff did have its roots kind of with the Eisner era, and they have been kind of systematically removing Merry Christmas from the parks and replacing it with holiday, happy holidays to be a little bit more inclusive, right? What do you fellas think about that? The sort of replacing Christmas with holidays. Now, to be fair to Disney, they haven't done it completely. I think when Santa goes down with the when Santa's in the parade, I think he does say Merry Christmas, and the parade itself, the music mentions Christmas. But look, a lot of the fireworks shows and offerings are mostly reference the holiday, not Christmas itself.
And if I could actually say, and to be fair to Disney, I'm not just seeing this in the parks. I'm seeing this actually everywhere. Anytime, like if I go into a retail store or what have you, everyone that, in the checkout, especially since I work in sales and marketing with retail and everything, a lot of people don't say Merry Christmas anymore. They just say Happy Holidays to kind of, sum up to everything, which in a way I can understand. People celebrate Hanukkah, people celebrate Kwanzaa, people don't celebrate anything at all. They just enjoy the winter time, season, whatever. But I'm a traditionalist. So to kind of cover my basis, I always start off with Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So I add in the Happy Holidays, but I always say Merry Christmas because that's just what I'm used to. That's just, who I am. And I think to showcase his point, they really do need to bring it back, because even growing up in my childhood, when they would do the Walt Disney World Christmas Day Parade, that's what it was always titled. It was always the Christmas Day Parade. It was never, the Disney Parks holiday celebration or what have you. And it's, in that sense, call it for what it is. The day is Christmas. It's not called Holiday Day. It's Christmas. So, you say Merry Christmas. Hanukkah has its own intertwined there. So does Kwanzaa. And that's why I always say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
No, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays is a good way to put it. What do you think, Trey? Does it bother you at all, or is it kind of eh?
Well, I mean, it's, look, it's not to disparage any other religion out there, but, when you have the Christmas tree set up, when you have the Christmas lights set up, when you have all these different things that celebrate Christmas primarily, and obviously the shopping season, everything attached to that, it is kind of weird how it now gets expanded out to Happy Holidays when kind of everybody is celebrating. I don't want to speak for everybody. Not everybody's celebrating Christmas, but they're definitely partaking, I think, in what is disproportionately Christmas. When it comes to their festivities and traditions and so forth, it's a little bit interesting. Look, I don't have any problems with being inclusive for sure, but yeah. I must confess I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. So, I suppose myself personally, just from my personal experience, I suppose I would prefer hearing the term, Merry Christmas rather than just Happy Holidays. It seems a little bit generic, seems a little bit forced, doesn't seem necessarily natural. But I understand, why they would go down that route of incorporating other people's religions, because it's a big time for many cultures, peoples, and places. So, but guys, do you hear that sound right now? Do you hear that sound?
Captain John D is in the house. And sorry, Captain, I hit the wrong button initially, but I got it settled. I do apologize, sir. But Captain, thank you so much for your support, brother. We absolutely love you. Merry Christmas, OG55 crew. Hope you guys have a wonderful holiday with your family and friends. Christmas starts with a C, just like JPEG. Yes. yes. Goodwill towards men. Fuck Doogie Howser. Love you guys. Oh, man. Captain John D.
Captain John D.
You know what? Here, just for that, Captain, that's a fantastic. Let me go ahead. One more time for Captain John D, everybody.
Dead men
there goes the sound of Neil Patrick Harris's career.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Look. Well, there you go. I mean, how can I argue with that? Wizard makes a good comment here. Uni had a huge Hanukkah event last night with a massive menorah. Must say, as a Jewish person, pretty awesome to see. Hey, no, look, listen, I have no problem with the representation of different holidays. No problem at all. It's just, I guess it's just the kind of the greeting around this time is what is at issue. And look, I have my personal preference, but again, am I going to get completely bent out of shape over it? Oh, probably.
Oh, I'm just going to come on and say it. Merry friggin' Christmas, everybody.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Dre, because when I made my tweet about how I think Neil Patrick Harris's comment was really out of place and not appropriate for the event, I got some people. Oh man, Snowflake, you're so upset about it. I'm not super upset about it. I'm not losing any sleep over it at all. I just thought it was an inappropriate comment at an inappropriate time. I mean, fine, in some other venue that would have been fantastic, but no, I'm not losing any sleep over it. But, I think it could have been handled better. I think it was kind of a tacky way to kind of start off a really beautiful event, in my opinion,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's, people get really,
it's a tough subject,
We talk about it all the time. OG, everybody has their sacred cow, right? Some people, consider this, something that gets people very passionate, right? And we don't need to. I don't mean to inflame anybody or incite any tensions or so forth. That's not, my intention, right? But it is kind of interesting because, like George has said, we have seen this kind of push from kind of the traditional saying of Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays. It's a very interesting thing that's happening in our culture that we are seeing reflected in multiple ways.
And I think we can. Oh, no, I was just going to say really. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say really quick that, and it was something that wasn't even really discussed or talked about, in world culture. It just kind of segued into that, where just people started losing again, I'm going to say the Christmas spirit, not the holiday spirit, because it just became where it was like, okay, maybe we should just, sum everything up as Happy Holidays, which if that's your preference, that's fine. But that's why I include it after I say Merry Christmas. Right. But go ahead, OG.
Well, and here's the thing too, is I love the inclusion, right? Like Wizard is saying he's Jewish. He likes to see the menorah and all that. That's fantastic. And I agree. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But my issue with this whole thing is a lot of these companies don't understand that you can be inclusive without excluding, right? We can, like George does, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, right? There's a million ways to do it. You don't have to completely erase Christmas to be inclusive is basically what I think all of us here are saying. We want inclusiveness, but you don't need to sacrifice Christmas to do that, And
I also say to be vigilant. It's, especially if I'm dealing with someone that comes up and buys Hanukkah stuff, that if they're buying Hanukkah bags and Hanukkah cards, chances are 9 out of 10, they're Jewish. So actually that's when I do say Happy Hanukkah to them and Happy Holiday. So, depending on, who I'm talking to, I'm vigilant about it. But if people are coming and they're buying Christmas cards, they're buying Christmas bags, they're buying Christmas wrapping paper, then that's where I say Merry Christmas. But just to be on the safe side, if they happen to be in another type of form of celebrating the holidays, but they're just buying for somebody else, then again, I add Happy Holidays onto Merry Christmas. But majority of the time, people say Merry Christmas right back to me, excluding the Happy Holidays, to be honest with you, when they say it back to me.
Now, Michael Ebba says, were people really offended by others wishing them a Merry Christmas? And that goes right to your point right there, George. You're saying you at your job, right? I'm not going to say where you work or anything. Don't worry, But at your job, you say Merry Christmas to customers, right? I mean, and have any of them been like, oh, asshole, what the hell are you doing? Have you had any response, any negative response at all from that?
No, not at all. No.
There you go. Most people are not offended. If someone wished me a happy Hanukkah, I'm not Jewish, but I wouldn't be mad. I'm not gonna be like, oh man. Nah, it's like whatever. Okay, fine. Happy Hanukkah to you as well. Wishing you the best. I don't, it's like it's all good,
L'chaim.
Slimer is pretty great here. In the spirit of celebrating all religions, let's push to get yogurt on a parade float, throwing universal t-shirts to guests, yelling merchandising, merchandising, merchandising. You guys know where that reference is from? Put it in the chat for sure.
Yeah.
Very, very good for sure.
Yeah, put it in the chat because I don't know.
You don't know?
I really don't know.
Come on, please, chat. Educate OG55.
Come on.
For our guests here. I mean, this is. How do you not know? This is crazy. You disappointed me, OG.
Is it a movie reference or what exactly?
Yes, it's a movie reference.
Oh man.
Nothing. Chat. We got anything?
Anything, chat?
May the Schwartz be with you. Yeah, I mean, Slimer knows. I know that for a fact, but nobody else does? Come on.
Okay, that's Spaceballs?
Okay,
that's a Spaceballs reference?
Spaceballs.
Funny thing, I've never seen it.
What? Oh, come on.
I've never seen it.
George, are you hearing this?
Mel Brooks?
I know. It's one of his best, outside of Blazing Saddles. But that's a whole other discussion. But OG, how have you not seen this movie? It's fantastic. It's a classic.
Yeah, no, I never have. I'll check it out. I'm sure it's on one of the streamers. I'll find out which one, and I'll.
Man, you got to see it. Wizard, come on. Okay. You got to see it as well.
OG, I just have to ask it. This is completely off topic here, and I have to say, have you seen any Mel Brooks films?
I don't know. Name a few.
Blazing I know. My gosh.
Young Frankenstein?
No.
Never.
Blazing Saddles.
I've seen that one.
Okay, well, I would have hoped you had, but
High Anxiety?
No, never. No,
History
never.
of the World Part 1.
Never. I think Blazing Saddles is the only one.
You're killing the buzz, OG.
Man. Sorry, Casual. Sorry, buddy.
Wizard, OG, we'll see it together. Look, listen, if I find a showing of Blazing Saddles in your area by some miracle, if they have some Tuesday Night Classics or something, I'm gonna forward it to both of you, and I'm just gonna say, hey, you got to see this film together for sure.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Showcase here says saw Spaceballs not too long ago, but wasn't anything special. That's funny. Well, I always thought that Chewie looked really weird in Spaceballs.
That's funny.
Our imitation Chewie is getting out of hand. Come on, settle down, buddy. Settle down.
For sure. Yeah, I meant Spaceballs. If Spaceballs is in theaters, definitely got to go check that out for sure. Sometimes they do some special showings of all kinds of stuff. Showcase saw Spaceballs not too long ago, but wasn't anything special. Hey, Jesus, come on, Showcase, help me out here. Jeez. I think you get a kick out of it, OG. I think you really would.
And I will actually say, if you have a chance to watch any of Mel Brooks's collection of masterpieces, definitely check them out because they're
absolutely.
Man, they're great.
Absolutely. And Mr. Matt Landgrave says, "I'm in the dark. What did Neil Patrick Harris say?" You know what, Dre? Do you have that clip? Let's play it again. Why not? Let's go.
Play it again.
This is for you, Matt. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, go ahead. There we go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to tonight's performance of the Candlelight Processional here at Epcot. Epcot. An acronym. And I'm pretty sure the C doesn't stand for Chapek.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, wait, actually, you know what? Speaking of C, C is for cheap-pack.
Exactly, right?
There you go. There you go. But Matt,
Exactly.
that is what he said. And it's causing quite a stir. I mean, a lot of people are kind of mixed on this, where it's like some people think it's really kind of inappropriate, like myself and us here on the panel. We don't think it's really appropriate. It wasn't the right venue for a joke like that. And some people think it was absolutely hilarious and absolutely spot on. And it was the greatest thing ever. And, you know, I don't know. Everyone's mileage is varying on this. But personally, we all kind of here think that it was a little bit distasteful for the event, you know? So
Hollywood loves Hollywood, just like our buddy Doc there said, for sure.
yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But going back to like the holidays and then mentioning Christmas and what have you, I don't know. It is kind of sad to see them kind of, you know, cut back on the Merry Christmas and all that. Nothing wrong with saying Merry Christmas. I think there is a compromise there, like what George does with Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I think that really is the right approach, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll make a comeback. Hopefully it will.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe. Not to pivot too far, too fast here.
No, do it. Let's pivot.
I wanted to talk about another part of this MiceChat update that I found particularly interesting. In the section here that titled Messy, Disneyland is old, folks. Over the years, things get redone, repainted, new themes, stuff gets built on top of previous attractions. You get the idea. When we were at the park on Thursday, we noticed that the subs, Autopia, and the train were all down. That's not completely unusual, as the three attractions are sort of stacked on top of one another, but the attraction stayed closed for most of the day. Turns out that a pipe burst under Autopia and created a little flood, which ended up dumping into the sub lagoon. It says here Disney is getting pretty good at dealing with little messes like these, and the attraction was back a day later. But the Tomorrowland attractions were the only thing down. Eight significant attractions were all down at the same time. Attraction reliability is becoming an increasing problem at the resort. There is always attraction breakdowns, and there always have been. However, there's absolutely a significant increase in the frequency of ride closures recently. I do agree. I mean, if I could maybe have Iger's ear for just a second, right? Gotta get this uptime thing, handled for sure. Now, I understand there are some operational difficulties regarding that, right? We've talked about them ad nauseum here, but outside of any, monetary affecting systems maybe being tweaked, like Genie Plus or the reservation system, attraction uptime for sure. And it is good around this time of year, let's say, that we are getting the gift of some of these refurbishments, because some of these attractions need them for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%, and especially now, like, that's the thing. Like before, when you had like free fast pass, didn't matter as much, but it kind of matters now when you have Genie Plus and you're paying to go on this ride. Literally, you're paying to go on that ride, and then it breaks down, right? It's just, it creates messes for like guest services and stuff like that. Look, these are machines and they're going to break down sometimes, but I think the past few years, maybe the upkeep hasn't been the greatest. And, they gotta ramp that up. And our cast member, Jessica from Fresh Bake's comment section, is kind of implying they are kind of acknowledging that and addressing that. So that's good. That's good. Hopefully they continue that and they start to make progress on that, because
which is good. I'm finding this section of the article here talking about what Wizard was talking about with the rust. Yes, there is a rust issue with the subs yet again. However, they have a solution, which I thought was very interesting. I guess they are bolting on an end cap to the subs in order to prevent that area from being exposed to water. So it's got like a plastic cap over it.
Oh,
so
interesting.
This is after, and this is before. So. Yeah, not the greatest. I guess who was it? Dusty, I believe, wrote this article, and he was kind of complaining that it doesn't look quite the best or whatever. It's like, well, hey, it's better than rust. So
yeah,
I'm not going to complain too bad. At least they're addressing these issues in some way. So, Wizard, there you go, right there. Looks like they're all formulating a solution.
Yeah, and I do apologize, George. Every time I bring up a comment, you get Mike Wazowski'd. I'm terribly sorry, my friend.
Yeah,
Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead. And, there we go. That's better. We can see
It's
you
all
now.
good. It's all good.
Michael Ebba says here, I believe maintenance in general is seriously lacking in the park. Do you guys know when the Phantasmic side fountains will be fixed? They haven't worked the few times I've watched the show. Honestly, Michael, I am not sure. Do you mean for Disneyland or Walt Disney World?
I believe he means. I believe Michael is referring to Disneyland, right? Because
I would think it's Disneyland, because if something wasn't working for the downtime that Walt Disney World's Phantasmic has been done,
that's true.
Something terribly wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think there are. I mean, I know there are side fountains to Walt Disney Worlds, but I don't think they're as
not as side. In a sense.
They're not as side. So Disneyland. Yeah. There you go. That's surprising. I didn't actually know that they weren't functioning. There's been a lot of maintenance issues recently at Disneyland that I've noticed, and hopefully these things are being addressed now with the new regime in place.
Well, and kind of tying it together, if I could kind of segue this off of a topic that you guys were talking about. Not just the maintenance issue, but also for like Christmas time and the holidays of like the overlays. I've never personally been to Disneyland during Christmas time. That's on one of my bucket lists. I've been out there for Halloween multiple times, but I have not been for Christmas. I've been to Walt Disney World, but not during Christmas time at Disneyland. And I want to see the Christmas and holiday festivities and what have you. But now there's one attraction that's brand new that I haven't seen as the overlay at Walt Disney World, but I have some gripes and issues about it, and I'll explain why. For Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, for what they're considering as a holiday overlay, they're basically just changing the music to Christmas music. They're keeping the same storyline, the same cue, the same everything. And to me, I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out. I feel like they're just doing it just to say, hey, we're going to throw this in here just for the sake of doing it. And I feel that that's Walt Disney World's kind of issue that you fellas were talking about earlier, of how like Disneyland's not really too festive around the park. Well, it also applies inside the attractions, because for something, after being on Mission Breakout during the overlay for Monsters, for Halloween, they changed the whole persona of the attraction. It's like after the events of the original Mission Breakout, this is what happens during the Halloween time, where with Christmas time for Cosmic Rewind, it's basically just like a Band-Aid, a holiday Band-Aid, if you will, rather than actually give it a full fleshed out overlay. And if you're not going to do that, then I would rather you not do it at all.
George, I have a love-hate thing with these holiday overlays, and you know my beef with these. Like, yes. I have a love-hate. I think they're beautiful when they're up. They're absolutely beautiful. When Sleeping Beauty's castle has all those lights, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Small World, breathtaking. All this stuff looks fantastic. My issue with it is that for some reason, and they've gotten better, I think the last couple seasons or whatever, but for a while there, they couldn't get these overlays on this castle without denting and dinging and scratching the rooftops and destroying this beautiful icon of the park. And I'm like, if you can't do it without destroying the castle or destroying the Small World facade, I'd rather you not even do them. So it seems like they've gotten a little better, at least with the castle. It doesn't seem to be taking the damage that it used to take, but man, love-hate with these overlays. I'm telling you. I mean, I love them, but man, I do not like what they do to the structures. I really don't.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit more open to the idea of overlays as long as the structures can be maintained. I agree with you, OG. If it's going to be constantly taxing the attractions or facades that some of these overlays are placed on, maybe you shouldn't do them at all if you can't actually go back and repair any of the damage and so forth that is done to these things, or can't put them up in a way that preserves the attractions or facades behind them. But in the case of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, Casual makes a good point here, where all the screen-based attractions supposed to have holiday overlays. that was kind of one of the promises that was made as far back as 2007 with the opening, or 2006 with the opening of Midway Mania, right? The original incarnation of the attraction. They said, "Hey, look, these screens provide us the ability to actually change these out for holiday, overlays," and that was one of the promises. Unfortunately, we just never saw that. I believe they just changed up the screens, or at least one of the games once for the opening of Toy Story 3, I think it was, and we just never revisited that idea, which is really kind of unfortunate. Look, we do have some attractions that have this kind of screen-based system as part of their attractions, and they can make these kind of holiday overlays. What is it? They can make that transition smoothly. For example, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is a perfect example during Halloween, right? That attraction goes down for like an hour, resets as the Halloween version, then comes back up, and it's a totally different attraction from what you experienced earlier that day. It is really kind of disappointing that tradition wasn't extended towards Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind to only get like a song, and it's only one song, kind of a collection of holiday tunes that are that are performed by another band or whatever. So it's not even just taking like clips of iconic tunes. I think it's actually performed, right? These tunes, which is interesting because I think it was. I forgot who I was watching this with, but somebody I was watching with I think it was my mom. I went over to their place and saw the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, and which was a fantastic little show there.
Yes, it really was.
It was really, really well done. I mean, it really superseded my expectations for sure. But part of that, they have these kind of holiday songs or these original songs placed throughout they're quite catchy. They're actually really well done. Why not incorporate some of those songs into Cosmic Rewind?
And that's what I thought they were going to do, because we had this conversation before when James Gunn was filming back to back, between Cosmic Rewind, the holiday special, and Volume 3, and we kind of thought that was going to be intertwined with when they did a holiday overlay because of the holiday special, and we got nothing of that. Yeah,
it's really strange, but that was the bare minimum that you could do. But Theme Park Casual brings up a good point that, hey, that attraction is really all screen-based. Why not incorporate even more of the Christmas festivities throughout the attraction itself? Why? It just changes a song. It just seems so...
like even in the queue line, it's still about the same storyline. It has nothing to involve Christmas or the holidays of that matter. I would have changed the whole entire spectrum of the ride, just like they did with Mission Breakout.
You could have had some stuff. You could have had some kind of, I don't know, put on a big Santa hat on the villain or something. Do something fun, kooky, whatever. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody's taking it super seriously.
I mean, it's not like you're going to put a tiara on a water tower.
That's great, but that's the what is it? The ghost of Christmas future, right there, guys. Unfortunately, but look, there could have been a number of things that you could have done there, and I think it would have. It wouldn't have. We wouldn't have seen the problems that you point out, OG, where it does damage to these facilities, right? These are screens. Change out the images, predicted on them, and well, there you go. You have this kind of cost-effective overlay that didn't really cost you that much, but really makes an impression for guests that actually go on this attraction.
Now, I have a question. USC Greg brings up a great point here. He says at least we don't have to pay for the holiday party, which is fantastic. They just block out pass holders or key holders. Is that are all keys blocked out right now? Is that in effect right now?
Tomorrow, I think, is the first day.
I'm going to be very curious how the crowds are when all the key holders are blocked out.
That was another thing that the Meister article brought up was it was like, hey, we're coming up here on a pass holder less, which, by the way, Disneyland has not seen for decades at this point, a pass holder less Christmas season couple weeks, back end of December here. It is an interesting thing. I want to know, one, what the crowds do look like, right? And two, what the crowd patterns are, as they are, a lot of those things are affected by the influx of pass holders on every single given night. Slimer makes a good comment here. Kidnap Kevin Bacon. Singing Christmas tunes would have been the obvious choice. Oh, yeah, something like that. I mean, come on, the jokes write themselves. It's so disappointing.
So disappointing. And then, Casual here says Magic Key blockout start tomorrow. I'm very, very curious. And that's going to kind of beta test a little bit for Disney to kind of gauge, like, how much do they really need these key holders at some of these key busy times of the year?
Right.
If it's still busy,
I would love to get access to the merch spend between, these 2 weeks that we're going to have, starting tomorrow, and the 2 weeks of the same time period last year, and what that kind of looks like, because we've heard for a long time that pass holders don't necessarily spend the money on each visit, whereas ticket holders do. There's truth to that, obviously, but what's the disparity there? That I'm very, very interested in. Doc Hart, hey, not everyone. My wife said it's time to shut it off. Yes, I believe what the joke is that's your downtime, right? Thanks for joining us for as long as you did.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate all your support. He says here, I mean, we're lying in bed and I'm trying to listen to the OG55 and crew. She just doesn't understand.
Well, to Doc's wife, thank you for letting him listen for as long as you did.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks for joining, Doc. But this is going to be an interesting time. This is a very interesting time. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see how dead or busy these parks are with these key holders out of the picture.
Now, apparently, the reservation calendar is saying that, Disneyland's full on some of these days and so forth. What does that necessarily mean in terms of full without pass holders? That's going to be interesting. Did they adjust those numbers, in order to, in order to account for that loss? Or, and like I said, how much money is actually being spent by some of these ticket holders? This kind of stuff, is the kind of stuff I'm most interested in. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's funny. Our buddy Dave from Fresh Baked, he was saying, like, he's so curious about this, right? He's gonna buy a ticket and go. Like, Dave, you're giving them reason to pull back on your key program. I mean, the last thing you want to do is give them your money, because I mean, if this is busy during this time period when the keys are blocked out, I'm telling you, you're gonna see more of it. You're gonna see much more of it, because they'd rather have those paying guests in there. Absolutely.
Oh yes. So. Showcase. Touche. There were no APs when Star Wars Land opened. There were at the highest tier, but a lot of APs were blocked out. For better or for worse, that is for sure.
That is very, very true. Yeah, There weren't that many Spirit jerseys in the park when Star Wars Land opened, huh?
yeah, exactly. Maybe it created a better atmospheric experience. Who knows? Who knows? Speaking of overlays, it's interesting. Dusty actually brought this up in his live stream. I guess. I'll be referring to that later. But yes, you might want to take it off the screen just for now. I guess there was going to be a. What is that? Maliki Maka overlay for the Tiki Room at one point. Wow. I guess the Imagineers had kind of dreamt that up. That's actually not a bad idea, right?
No, I was going to say, I kind of dig that, actually. That's not so shabby.
No, for sure. I mean, we heard the obviously the multiple overlays for the Country Bridge Jamboree, as we all know, and we all loved up until the point that Walt Disney World actually got rid of them. But that's neither here nor there. One of the reasons why was it was like $1 million to change that whole thing out. I wonder if a a tiki room overlay would have been far cheaper and would have been still here today had they gone along with that.
That's a really great concept. I really hope they revisit that. That's a really great concept. And the music, I can totally see that. That's fantastic.
My gosh, you could do. I mean, it wouldn't be all that much, you know. That's a really cool thing there.
Yeah, Theme Park Casual says Spirit Jersey diss right on schedule. Yeah, Casual knows me. I'm not really big on the Spirit jerseys, to be honest. And then Showcase here says need some Christmas Spirit jerseys. Yeah, oh god.
What, the ugly sweater Spirit jerseys, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Well, now you can go ahead and share my screen.
There we go. Let's rock and roll.
I do appreciate it. One of the stories that they did keep up on was the refurbishment, downgrade of Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen. Remember, OG, we actually made a video talking about all of the little changes that were coming to Downtown Disney, including Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, or as it's now named, Jazz Kitchen? We'll go into it. But we were none so pleased with this reimagining, right? We were just like, this is kind of a step down for sure, and we, obviously formulated our reasons as to maybe why they were doing this and so forth. But Mice Chat does actually come up with some answers. So over at Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, the first part of the restaurant's underwhelming overhaul has been completed. The upstairs of the restaurant, both the indoor setting and the outdoor patio, is open for business. The wrought iron of the staircase and patio railing has been replaced with modern metal mesh and glass combo. So you can see that right there. The wrought iron railings are no more. Orange gaudy chairs.
What? That's yeah. The glass actually looks pretty good, but with the orange chairs, and I'm a big fan of orange,
Well,
not that.
yeah, not that, right? The big fountain sculpture in the center of the atrium has been removed, and the main dining room now sports a hospital cafeteria look. Is this the best that Imagineering could do? I thought that comment was very interesting.
I don't know. Take a look inside the Star Cruiser.
There you go. The Galactic Macy's, as George calls it. And maybe they touch upon this in the article, but I think what they're doing in Downtown Disney with moves like this is to create buildings that can be easily swapped out in case Jazz Kitchen doesn't work out anymore. Someone else can it's move-in ready, basically, right? And if you have a bunch of stuff specifically for a Jazz Kitchen, a giant saxophone, this, that, and the other, right? Then the next vendor that wants to come in, it's hard. It's more expensive to swap all that stuff out for them. They want to keep it kind of generic, so that way the next vendor can kind of move in ready and just hit the ground running. And I think that's really the mindset behind it.
And OG, there's more evidence to suggest just that. Ralph Brennan's name has been removed from the establishment, with a new name being Jazz Kitchen, Coastal Grill, and Patio. The ownership remains the same, but they were forced to agree to a remodel when their lease was renewed. The staff is just as upset with the changes as you are. It's absolutely mind-boggling how little vision was applied to this project. It's and this also kind of goes in line, George, I think you'll appreciate this, with the kind of degradation, let's say, or the stripping of theme from the Grand Flow recently. That's gotten a lot of traction on just Twitter, as we know. This kind of move towards removing theme and going down to this kind of, modern aesthetic for nearly everything, it is kind of driving me nuts here. George, do you feel that a similar way? Maybe doesn't work in Grand Floridian, but doesn't work here, does not work there? What do you think?
Well, especially from someone that grew up going to Walt Disney World, and I periodically would go over to the Grand Floridian just to walk around, just to watch the piano player and, the automobiles outside of the resort. It's very Victorian style type of hotel, and it gives off that grandness, no pun intended.
They used to have the band.
Yes.
The symphony, I think.
The symphony,
or?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's small things like that, it strips away, just speaking for the hotel, the identity of what that hotel was all about. And then at the end of the day, when you keep pulling things and stripping it down, what do you have? You just have a basic generic hotel that you're spending an arm and a leg for.
Yeah. Well, and really, you know, I'm a big fan of the 1990s when it comes to themed restaurants. I mean, the 90s was like the heyday for this stuff. There used to be a place out here in Century City called The Dive, and it was owned by, I think, Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg, and it was a giant submarine, and you go in there and they would have the porthole windows with the water in them, just like the submarine voyage at Disneyland. And the whole thing, every like half hour to an hour, the lights would go out and they would dive. Cool. And it was really, really cool. Google it, everybody home. If you're too young to remember it, or you never went to it, Google it. I'm sure there's stuff online you can catch, but this is the kind of stuff that we saw a lot with the 90s, right? Rainforest Cafe was kind of coming up around that time.
Yeah.
Planet Hollywood. This was a big deal back then. Not so much anymore. That trend has kind of fallen out of favor.
But on the plus side, aside from all those kind of things pulling, you know, kind of going down as far as that goes. But however, when I bring you fellas out to Walt Disney World, there are several restaurants that I think you would appreciate of the overall theme, because it's like in your face in a good way. I want you guys to experience 50s Primetime Cafe, the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, Hollywood Braun Derby. I want you fellas to actually get that taste of, you know, this isn't just a restaurant, it's an experience. And that's what Disney is usually so good at, whether it's with a restaurant or a hotel or an attraction. It's not just a ride or a place to sleep or a place to eat. There's an immersive experience surrounding it.
Well, and that's kind of my point, George, is like, I can go anywhere to experience a place like Jazz Kitchen, Coastal Grill and Patio. That's weird, but okay. I can go anywhere to visit a hotel that's not themed to Victorian. You book places like the Grand Flow for that theme. You book a reservation for Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen for that theme. For example, Cafe Orleans, right? That is themed to a certain way that you know harmonizes with the surrounding area. You're going for that theme as it is established along the river's edge there. Eddie Soto, famous Imagineer, one that I have great fondness for, right? He was big on that. Like, hey, look, you know, like, for example, Main Street USA, right, for Disneyland Paris. He was really big on, you know, really adding in those details that would really kind of up the experience for guests walking down Main Street, and actually, you know, provide this kind of theme that would actually take you into the shops. And now we've been seeing this kind of, change from Disney management and WDI, in which they like strip a store's theme completely in order to showcase, right, the merchandise that's in that actual store. But my thing is well, okay, yeah, like the merchandise or the product should be
star.
Should be the star of the show, right? And I can see why you'd want to do that, especially coming from like an Apple type philosophy and so forth. My thing though is like, okay, but if your store is not interesting to go in, I'm not going to be seeing your product anyway, because I'm just going to pass that on.
Right.
I am attracted, at least I can say for myself, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm attracted to those stores that have interesting interiors, because that gets me to walk in them in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think there is that kind of given that tuck and pull here that I think should be considered and thought about more than it actually is.
And that's what worries me. Oh, sorry, OG.
What I was just saying, and I don't know, I think they all went out of business actually, but Fry's Electronics, there was one by my house. They were all themed, and they were really cool theming. The one by my house was actually Alice in Wonderland theming.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool. They had that giant like nightstand with the drink on top. So when you walked in here, you felt like really small and everything. They had Cheshire Cat, and they had like the hedge maze and all this really cool stuff. And it's like, I would regularly opt to go to Fry's because the experience was just so freaking cool. it's so much better than just going to a regular tech place. I mean, this was like an experience, you know. So that, you know, to kind of, you know, touch upon your point, Dre. I mean, it does make a difference. I mean, I was going there because of that and spending money because I was drawn to it. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And I was just going to say, not even just with Disney, because I mean, I'm starting to see a pattern, you know, that they're making these like school cafeteria, hospital, hallway type looks. But if you actually think about it, and I hate to even compare Disney with this, but if you even look at McDonald's used to be very vibrant with the kids play area and the slides and everything. Now you look at a McDonald's and it looks like you're walking into a
IKEA.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they're nothing special. This is the trend. This is like, it's not, that's what I was saying. It's not really like a Disney thing. I think that this is just like the era we live in, this like minimalist kind of style. I think honestly, you know who we should blame for this is Apple. I mean, the Apple stores kind of started this whole thing, right? With this real minimalist kind of thing.
Yes.
Thanks, Apple.
But why does Disney need to go in that direction? Why do they need to chase that trend? You are Disney. You have a signature brand all of your own. Why go out? You know, it just doesn't make much sense. People go to Disney for a heightened experience, right? They want that theming. They want to see that Galaxy's Edge, that Pandora, that whatever.
Or Trader Sam's.
I was going to bring up actually Trader Sam's. Trader Sam's is one of the premier locations on either coast because of that theme, because of that unbelievable environment that is unlike anything else. To strip that away, you know, Trader Sam's is just another bar at that point.
Yeah. Right. No, 100%. So,
and then, sorry. And then Robert White says, go to Mythos when you visit Islands of Adventure. Well, Robert, I got that taken care of.
The Dream Maker strikes again.
He's a Dream Maker. Yep. Slimer says here, Vash, what's stopping Disney from incorporating Fox IP into the parks? Go ahead, Vash.
I guess it's me.
I'll go after you, but I have a little bit of an idea as to why. But
yeah, it's just the integration of theme. Honestly, that is kind of what is stopping them right now. It's like where do the stories of the Fox IP are, you know, where are they best incorporated right now? I mean, that's kind of one of the big impediments for sure. Also, too, CapEx. You know, I mean, there are other IPs in which Disney, I believe, feels that there's more leverage, at least from a merchandising standpoint, at least from a guest satisfaction standpoint, and so forth, that they want to associate with their parks more than Fox IP at this point. So, you know, until those things are integrated into the parks, like Frozen and Kanto, right? That also is an impediment to getting Fox IP into the parks.
Well, and here's the thing too: is Disney bought Fox for $70+ billion for the streaming services, not for the parks.
Yeah,
and that's number one. But number two, anything that's really like interesting in terms of like potential for the parks have already been done. The remaining Star Wars stuff, I think they got New Hope out of the Fox deal. I mean, Star Wars is already in the parks. Avatar in the parks. Marvel in the park. Like everything that could have been great for the parks is already in the parks. So the rest is basically just kind of material to fill the streamer at this point. You know, you're not going to get a Die Hard attraction or anything, or Home Alone walkthrough ride or anything like that. You know,
and Captain John D actually said, because I had seen this as well, we are seeing Anastasia merchandise in the parks,
which is wild.
And I actually remember seeing that, not in person, but them just releasing it, and I thought that was quite interesting.
Is Anastasia now a Disney princess?
Oh yeah, no, it's official. She is a
princess.
Yep, absolutely.
I want.
Yeah, that's weird.
To play the
here, I got it. Hold on, I got
okay,
the. Hold on, is she? Here we go. Hold on. Let me actually find that drop. 1 sec. We'll do it right now.
No problem.
Here we go. Hold on. Oh man, I really can't find it. Where did that drop go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So is Anastasia a Disney princess? There we go.
I don't know.
Who would have known that would have came up?
Yeah, I know.
That is
nowhere.
Deep cut. deep cut. Thank you, Captain John D, for chiming in there. But it is interesting. When Bob Iger originally bought Pixar, there was a real charge from Bob Iger, like, hey, get as much Pixar into the parks as possible. Let's make this a profitable venture that we just sunk so much capital into. And that was like $7 billion. An amount 10 times that was spent on 21st Century Fox. And yet we really haven't seen that kind of integration or that leveraging of that IP. I guess you could say, maybe Avatar's a little bit a part of that, but obviously that was done, long before the Fox deal. So even that isn't an expression of this new arm of the Walt Disney Company. It is quite fascinating. It is quite interesting how it's all worked out.
And there's certain IP. It's kind of weird, but there's certain IP that I absolutely adore and love. Right? Yeah. I like The Simpsons. I like Family. I actually love Family Guy. Mm-hmm. These are franchises I really do like to watch. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest, and sorry, Universal, but I have no desire to visit the world of The Simpsons. None. It's just not an environment that excites me. Whereas a franchise like Cars, I don't like the movies, but it's a world I want to go to. It's more interesting to me, right? Or even Pandora. I'm not an Avatar guy, but Pandora looks phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain franchise, and a lot of the Fox stuff, like, I don't know, like The Simpsons and stuff. It's just like, it's great stuff to watch, but I have no desire to visit those places, if that makes sense.
But OG, two franchises that I really think kind of mesh well is Star Wars with a little bit of Family Guy.
Oh yeah, you're right. Hold on. Wow, you're making me go through my. You're really making me go through my Roadcaster today, fellas. Here we go. Here we go. There we go.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect, right? Look, I will. I will never. I don't ever want to get rid of the Tower of Terror at Disney Hollywood Studios. That is a great attraction, the best form of it. However, Disneyland Paris is the last remaining of the offshoot cookie cutter. What is it, Tower of Terrors, right? That didn't really have a theme outside of the one that we kind of borrowed from Hollywood Studios. Look, that would make a great diehard attraction. Come on, let's get innovative here. Showcase here. Alien and Sound of Music wasn't a great movie, right? Yes, it was, and there was going to be an Alien attraction before it became Alien Encounter, which is unfortunate. But yeah, they were in there for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. 6 miles tall, friend of the channel. 6 miles, good to see you, buddy. Says Kingsman in UK. I guess he means the UK Pavilion. That's interesting.
That's an interesting one. Never
interesting.
quite thought of that. Hey, like, listen, I'm a fan of Mary Poppins. I want to see that myself. But Kingsman, oh, there you go. That's something.
Yeah, no, 100%. And 6 miles also says here, buzzkill alert, Anastasia was killed with the rest of the Romanovs.
Oh, there you go.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
What?
I thought I had a drop for that, but I don't. I was like, oh, no, that won't work.
Yeah, there you go, right? Well, that's look, hopefully there's something within the 20th Century Fox 20th Century canon that can be, or library, I should say, that can be incorporated into the parks in a tasteful manner that would make everybody excited. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So I think we're gonna wrap up the show today. I want to thank everybody in the chat. We had a fantastic time today on the OG55 holiday special. I want to thank Slimer, 6 miles tall, theme park casual. Jay Nathaniel Carter. We got, hold on. We got the Captain John D. And I'm so sorry, Dre. Now go ahead and play your drop. I am so sorry.
Perfectly fine, sir. Perfectly fine.
Yes. And Showcase of Wishes. We love you, brother. Thank you for joining us today. Robert White.
Doc.
Doc. Theme Park Wizard. Royalty Legends. USC Greg, Michael Ebba, everybody. Just thank you all so much for joining us. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, right? So we're gonna go ahead and close the show out. But before we play that Carl's Jr. drop, I want to close it out with my panel. Dre, if you can let everybody know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Hey, best place to find me is going to be at Twitter, at VashSky. That's at V as in Victor, ASHSKY. Go ahead and type that in the Twitter sphere. Should pop up for, as Christine Wastelands McCarthy would say, for all the robust discussion right there, right before she stabs you in the back. But that's another story. That's definitely going to happen. But hey, if you want to go ahead and see more of me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55, where you can see incredible shows like Orange Nerd, my brother from another mother, his show Citrus Corner with George, or Disney Family Man 23, OG55, the incredible host that we have over there, and my show, of course, with Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. Jungle Cruise for the long departed, at least over here at Disneyland, the Jingle Cruise. Gotta play that at least once there for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And down below, we got the Family Man 23. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, brother.
Absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23. You can interact with me on Twitter at Disney George. You can also find me on the new podcast, A Walk with Walt. And of course, you'll find me here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very holiday special. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and OG, I'm craving some Carl's Jr.
Are you craving some Carl's?
Let's get that juicy burger going.
Let's go. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everyone. See you guys later. Bye-bye now.